The alarm screamed through the Vorthon monitoring station like a dying animal. Commander Velthari's 4 eyes snapped open as he rolled out of his sleep pod. His purple skin turned pale as he rushed to the control room. The other Vorthon officers were already there, staring at their screens with confusion and fear. "What is happening?" Velthari demanded, his voice echoing in the metal chamber. Officer Kexri pointed at the main display with a shaking finger. "Commander, we have detected something impossible. A massive energy signature is moving through Sector 7. Velthari looked at the screen. The numbers didn't make sense. The energy reading was bigger than anything he had ever seen. It was even larger than the Imperial dreadnoughts that protected their homeworlds. "Check the sensors again," Velthari ordered. "This must be a mistake." Kexri's hands moved quickly over the controls. "I have checked 3 times, Commander. The readings are correct. Something very large is out there." The Kepler 442 sector was supposed to be empty. No ship could survive the deadly radiation and twisted gravity fields that filled this area of space. The Vorthon Empire used it as a natural barrier between their territory and the wild sectors. Beyond. Nothing could cross this region and live. "Can you identify what type of ship it is?" Velthari asked. "That's the problem, Commander. It doesn't match any ship in our database. Not Vorthon, not Kethmori, not Zilani. Nothing we know about." Velthari felt cold fear creep up his spine. Unknown ships in their territory meant only one thing: invasion. But who would be crazy enough to attack the Vorthon Empire? And how did they survive the death zone of Sector 7? "Get me visual contact," he commanded. The technicians worked frantically at their stations. Minutes passed like hours. Finally, the main screen flickered and showed the black emptiness of space. Stars dotted the darkness like tiny diamonds. At first, Velthari saw nothing unusual. Then Kexri enhanced the image and zoomed in. Velthari's breath caught in his throat. There, moving slowly through the dangerous radiation field, was a ship unlike anything he had ever seen. It was massive, easily 3 times the size of their own station. The hull was dark gray, almost black, with strange markings along its sides. Red and blue lights blinked in patterns that meant nothing to Vorthon eyes. "By the ancient gods," whispered another officer. "What is that thing?" The ship moved with purpose, not drifting like a dead hulk. Its engines glowed with a strange blue light that didn't match any known propulsion system. Most shocking of all, it seemed completely unaffected by the deadly environment around it. "Commander," Kexri said in a small voice, "I'm detecting life signs aboard that vessel. Thousands of them." Velthari stared at the impossible sight. "What species?" "Unknown, sir. The life signs don't match anything in our biological database." The mystery deepened. An unknown species in an unknown ship, surviving in a place where nothing should be able to live. Velthari had served in the Vorthon fleet for 30 cycles, and he had never encountered anything like this. "Send an identification request," he ordered. "Standard protocols." The communications officer sent the signal. They waited. No response came back. "Try again, but use emergency frequencies." Still, nothing. "Commander," the sensor operator called out, "I'm picking up more details about the ship. The hull appears to be made of materials we don't recognize. And, sir, there are weapon ports all along its sides, hundreds of them." Velthari felt his heart's beating faster. This was clearly a warship, and it was bigger and more heavily armed than anything in the Imperial fleet. "Send an immediate alert to High Command," he ordered. "Priority 1, unknown hostile vessel detected in Sector 7. As the message went out, Velthari continued to study the alien ship. It moved with the confidence of something that belonged there, as if the deadly radiation was no more dangerous than a gentle breeze. The ship's path would take it directly through 3 more Vorthon systems. "Sir," the communications officer reported, "High Command is requesting more information. They want to know the ship's origin and intentions." Tell them we don't know, Velthari replied grimly. Tell them we have never seen anything like this before. Hours passed. The alien ship continued on its steady course, ignoring all attempts at communication. Other Vorthan stations began reporting the same massive energy signature as it moved through their sensor range. Panic spread through the Imperial fleet. Then something changed. The alien ship slowed down and came to a complete stop. For several minutes, it hung motionless in space. Velthari wondered if it was finally going to respond to their messages. Instead, new readings appeared on the sensors. The ship was scanning everything around it, every station, every patrol vessel, every piece of Imperial technology in the I sector. The scans were incredibly detailed, far more advanced than anything the Vorthans possessed. Commander, Kexri said quietly, they're learning everything about us. Our ship designs, our weapon systems, our defense patterns, everything. Velthari watched helplessly as the alien ship gathered intelligence on the entire Vorthan military presence in the region. When the scans finished, the ship simply resumed its original course, as if the Imperial fleet was nothing more than an interesting curiosity. "Sir, what are your orders?" asked his second-in-command. Velthari stared at the screen, watching the impossible ship disappear into the distance. For the first time in his long military career, he had no idea what to do. The Vorthan Empire prided itself on being the strongest force in this part of the galaxy. Their ships were feared by dozens of smaller species. Their technology was advanced beyond most civilizations. But this alien vessel made them look primitive. "Continue monitoring," he said finally, "and pray to the ancient gods that this ship doesn't decide we're a threat." Deep in space, aboard the massive alien vessel, Captain Li Huan stood on his bridge and watched the stars. His dark eyes were calm as he studied the tactical displays showing the Vorthan positions. Lieutenant Park Mina approached him with a data pad. "Captain, we've completed our scans of their defensive systems," she reported in perfect Korean. Li Huan nodded slowly. "How do they compare to our intelligence estimates?" "Exactly as expected, sir. Their technology is roughly 50 years behind ours. Their weapons would have difficulty penetrating our shields." "Good. Continue on course. We have a schedule to keep." "Sir, they've been trying to communicate with us for hours. Should we respond?" Li Huan considered this. "Not yet, Lieutenant. Let them wonder a little longer. Soon enough, they'll understand what humanity brings to this galaxy." The Soul's Pride continued its journey through space, carrying its crew of 3,000 humans toward their destiny. Behind them, the Vorthan Empire scrambled to understand what they had just encountered. Ahead of them lay the heart of galactic civilization, completely unaware that everything was about to change. Forever. The news spread through the galaxy like fire in dry grass. Within 12 hours, every major power knew about the mysterious ship that had appeared in Vorthan space. Emergency meetings were called on dozens of worlds. Military commanders studied the scattered reports, trying to understand what they were dealing with. Admiral Krixtal of the Keth-Mori Empire received the alert while dining in his private quarters. His scaled hide turned dark green as he read the details. An unknown vessel, larger than anything in the Imperial databases, moving freely through defended space. The report included fuzzy images that showed a ship design unlike anything he had ever seen. "Impossible," he muttered, his forked tongue flicking out to taste the air. No one builds ships that large. But the evidence was there on his screen. The Vorthans were many things, but they were not liars when it came to military threats. If they said there was a massive unknown vessel in their territory, then there was. Krixtal activated his communication system and began issuing orders. Within hours, 23 Keth-Mori warships were moving toward the alien vessel's projected path. He would intercept this mystery ship and either capture it or destroy it. The Zilani Federation responded even faster. Their insect-like ships swarmed from 3 different star systems, moving to surround the unknown vessel. Fleet Commander Zixtar led 17 vessels, each one bristling with weapons and swarming with fighters. The Vorthons, not wanting to be left out of whatever was happening in their own territory, sent 7 heavy cruisers to join the growing fleet. Commander Velthari found himself aboard the flagship, still trying to understand what he had witnessed. In total, 47 alien warships converged on a single point in space. It was one of the largest battle groups assembled in recent memory. The combined fleet represented enough firepower to destroy entire worlds. They were confident it would be enough to handle one mysterious vessel. Aboard the Soul's Pride, Captain Li Huan watched the approaching fleet with calm interest. His bridge crew monitored the alien communications, listening to their plans and preparations. "Captain," reported Communications Officer Choi Sun, "the alien fleets are taking positions around us. They're forming a blockade pattern." "How many ships?" Li Huan asked. 47 confirmed contacts, sir. 3 different species, the Kethmori, Vorthan, and Zelani fleets. Fleet Commander Yoon Jae, Li Huan's second-in-command, stepped forward. "Should we alter course to avoid them?" Li Huan smiled slightly. "No, Commander. We're exactly where we need to be. This was always going to happen." Dr. Nam Ki, the Chief Science Officer, looked up from his instruments. "Captain, I'm analyzing their ship designs and weapon configurations. Their technology appears to be based on plasma and particle beam weapons. Energy shields seem to be their primary defense." "Weaknesses?" Li Huan asked. "Many, sir. Their power systems are inefficient. Their targeting computers are slow. Their ship designs prioritize intimidation over functionality." Chief Engineer Kim Day joined the conversation. "Captain, our reactor is operating at 12% power. Should I bring us to combat readiness?" "Not yet, Engineer. Let's see what they want first." The alien fleet completed its encirclement. 47 warships hung in space around the single human vessel, their weapons powered and ready. From their perspective, they had overwhelming advantage. One ship against their entire combined fleet, Admiral Krixtal opened a communication channel. His translator converted his hissing words into standard galactic language. "Unknown vessel, you have entered. Controlled space without permission. You will power down your engines and prepare to be boarded. Comply immediately or face the consequences." On the Soul's Pride, the message was automatically translated into Korean. Li Huan listened to it, then nodded to Choi Sun. "Open a channel," he said calmly. For the first time since entering this region of space, the human ship responded. Li Huan's image appeared on screens throughout the alien fleet. The alien commanders saw a being unlike any in their databases. He looked similar to several known species, but there were subtle differences that marked him as something new. "This is Captain Li Huan of the Terran vessel Soul's Pride," he said in clear, precise galactic standard. "We appreciate your concern, but we are conducting a routine patrol through this sector." The alien commanders were stunned. The mystery being could speak their language perfectly. More surprising, he seemed completely calm despite being surrounded by enough firepower to crack a moon. Admiral Krixtal recovered first. "Terran? That designation is not in our databases. What species are you? What is your home world?" "We are humans from the planet Earth," Li Huan replied. "We have been observing this region for some time and have decided it is time to make formal contact." "Impossible," Fleet Commander Zixtar transmitted. "Our surveys show no advanced civilizations in the outer sectors. If your people existed, we would know about them." Li Huan's expression didn't change. "With respect, Commander, your surveys are not as complete as you believe." This statement sent shockwaves through the alien fleet. The 3 major powers had spent centuries mapping every system within 1,000 light years. The idea that an entire civilization could exist without their knowledge was unthinkable. Commander Velthari, the Vorthan who had first detected the human ship, spoke up. Captain Li Huan, your vessel appears to be heavily armed. Are your intentions peaceful? Completely peaceful, Li Huan assured him. We come seeking dialogue and friendship with the civilized peoples of this galaxy. Then you will not object to submitting to inspection, Admiral Crixtal demanded. Lower your shields and prepare to receive boarding parties. Li Huan considered this request for a moment. I'm afraid that won't be possible, Admiral. Our protocols don't permit foreign personnel aboard our vessels during first contact situations. Then you leave us no choice, Crixtal hissed. Surrender your vessel immediately, or we will take it by force. That would be unfortunate, Li Huan said quietly. We would prefer to resolve this peacefully. You are one ship against 47, Fleet Commander Zixtar clicked. Your preference is irrelevant. Li Huan looked directly into the camera. Admiral, Commander, I understand your position, but I must warn you that appearances can be deceiving. We really would prefer to handle this diplomatically. The alien commanders interpreted this as fear. They had seen this pattern before. Smaller civilizations trying to bluff their way out of impossible situations. This human was obviously hoping to buy time or find some way to escape. You have 10 minutes to comply, Admiral Crixtal announced. After that, we will open fire. The communication channel closed. Throughout the alien fleet, weapons systems came online. Fighters launched from carrier ships. Shield generators hummed to full power. The 47 warships prepared for what they assumed would be a quick and easy victory. Aboard the Soul's Pride, the atmosphere remained calm. Li Huan returned to his captain's chair and activated the ship's internal communication system. All hands, this is the captain. We have made contact with local military forces. The situation may require defensive action. All personnel prepare for combat operations. This is not a drill. Throughout the massive human ship, 3,000 crew members moved to their battle stations. But there was no panic, no fear. They had trained for this moment for years. They knew exactly what their ship could do. Lieutenant Park Mina checked her tactical displays. Captain, all weapon systems are ready. Defensive screens are at full power. Engine status? Li Huan asked. All drives operational, sir. We can go to maximum power on your command. Li Huan nodded and settled back in his chair. He looked at the timer counting down on his screen. 8 minutes remaining. Let's hope they change their minds, he said quietly. In the alien fleet, no one was changing their mind. They saw one ship facing impossible odds. They had superior numbers, proven weapons, and centuries of military experience. The outcome seemed certain. They had no idea they were about to face something completely beyond their understanding. The timer continued counting down. 7 minutes, 6 minutes, 5. The storm was about to break, and the galaxy would never be the same. With 3 minutes left on the countdown, something unexpected happened. A new voice cut through the military communications of the assembled fleet. It was calm, professional, and speaking perfect galactic standard. Attention, fleet commanders. This is Ambassador Xin Yu of the Terran Diplomatic Corps. I request immediate cessation of hostile actions and the opening of formal diplomatic channels. Admiral Crixtal nearly fell from his command chair. Where had this new human come from? His sensors showed only the one ship, the Soul's Pride. This is Admiral Crixtal of the Kethmori Empire. Identify your location immediately. I am aboard. The Terran vessel, Soul's Pride, Admiral. I have been monitoring your communications and feel it is time to prevent any unfortunate misunderstandings. Commander Velthari activated his own communication system. Ambassador Xin Yu, you claim to represent a diplomatic corps. What government do you speak for? I represent the United Terran Republic, Commander. Our government has been observing galactic politics for approximately 50 of your standard years. We have been waiting for the appropriate moment to make formal contact. The implications hit the alien commanders like a physical blow. 50 years of observation meant this human civilization had been watching them, studying them, learning about them, while remaining completely hidden. Fleet Commander Zixtar's mandibles clicked rapidly. Impossible. Our surveillance networks cover every system in this region. No civilization could remain hidden for 50 years. Ambassador Xin Yu's voice carried a hint of amusement. Commander, with all due respect, your surveillance networks have significant blind spots. We have mapped most of them. Aboard the Soul's Pride, Captain Li Huan watched the diplomatic exchange with satisfaction. Xin Yu was doing exactly what she had been trained for, disrupting enemy expectations while gathering intelligence. Lieutenant Commander O Jin, the security chief, approached the captain. Sir, should we prepare for boarding attempts? They won't try boarding us yet, Li Huan replied. They're too confused, but keep our people ready just in case. On his sensor station, Specialist Bang Sol was making disturbing discoveries about the alien fleet. Captain, I'm detecting significant weaknesses in their formation. Their shield harmonics are unstable, and their targeting systems are using predictable patterns. How predictable? Li Huan asked. Extremely, sir. If we needed to disable their fleet, I could program firing solutions for all 47 ships in under 10 minutes. The conversation between Ambassador Xin Yu and the alien commanders continued. Commander Velthari was asking detailed questions about human society and technology. Ambassador, how many worlds does your republic control? That information is classified, Commander, but I can tell you that human colonies exist in several sectors that you consider uninhabited. This revelation sent another shock through the alien fleet. Not only had humans been watching them, but they had been expanding into territory the established powers thought was empty. Admiral Krixtal decided to take a more aggressive approach. Ambassador, your government may have been observing us, but that doesn't give you the right to trespass in sovereign space. We demand that your vessel submit to inspection. I'm afraid that's not possible, Admiral. However, I am authorized to offer a formal exchange of diplomatic personnel. We can arrange a neutral meeting to discuss territorial boundaries and trade agreements. You're in no position to make demands, Fleet Commander Zixtar clicked angrily. You have one ship. We have 47. Actually, Commander, you have 47 ships in this immediate area. The broader strategic situation is somewhat different. The alien commanders fell silent. What did that mean? Aboard the Soul's Pride, Dr. Nam Ki was analyzing the alien fleet's communications. Captain, they're using unsecured channels for most of their coordination. I've been able to intercept their tactical plans, supply manifests, and even personal messages between ships. What have you learned? Li Huan asked. They're overconfident, sir. They believe their numerical advantage guarantees victory. They haven't considered that we might have capabilities they don't understand. Ambassador Xin Yu continued her diplomatic offensive. Commanders, I believe there has been a fundamental misunderstanding about the nature of this encounter. You seem to view this as a military confrontation. We see it as an opportunity for peaceful first contact. First contact requires trust, Commander Velthari said. Trust requires transparency. You must allow inspection of your vessel. Commander, would you allow foreign military personnel to board your flagship during a tense diplomatic situation? That's different. We are the established authority in this region. Established by whom? Xin Yu asked quietly. We have been observing your activities for 5 decades. In that time, we have seen 3 major wars, countless smaller conflicts, and the subjugation of 17 smaller species. What gives you the moral authority to demand anything from us? The question hung in space like a physical presence. The alien commanders had never been challenged so directly about their right to rule this region of the galaxy. Admiral Krixtal recovered first. We have the authority of strength, Ambassador. We have built these fleets. We have conquered these territories. We have the right of power. Power without wisdom is merely tyranny, Admiral. We have watched your empires rise and fall. We have seen civilizations destroyed by your right of power. Perhaps it is time for a different approach. Commander Velthari found himself genuinely curious about these humans. What approach do you suggest, Ambassador? Cooperation instead of domination. Trade instead of tribute. Protection instead of conquest. Pretty words, Fleet Commander Zixtar dismissed. But words mean nothing without the strength to enforce them. An interesting observation, Commander. Tell me, how do you think we survived undetected for 50 years while building a civilization capable of interstellar travel? The alien commanders had no answer for that question. It was becoming clear that they were dealing with something far more sophisticated than they had initially believed. Captain Li Huan decided it was time to reveal a little more of their capabilities. He nodded to his communications officer, who activated the ship's external sensor array at full power. Immediately, every alien ship in the fleet was hit with sensor beams of incredible intensity and precision. The scans penetrated their shields, analyzed their hull composition, mapped their internal structures, and cataloged their weapon systems. In 30 seconds, the humans learned everything there was to know about alien military technology. The alien commanders were stunned by the power and sophistication of the scanning beams. Their own sensors couldn't even detect how the humans were penetrating their defenses. "What are you doing?" Admiral Crixtall demanded. "Gathering information, Admiral," Ambassador Xin Yu replied calmly. "Surely you can understand the need for intelligence in a first-contact situation. You have no right to scan our vessels." "We have the same right you claimed when you demanded to inspect our ship. The difference is that we have the capability to actually do it. The scans completed and the human sensor array powered down." Captain Li Huan reviewed the data with satisfaction. The alien fleets were exactly as primitive as human intelligence had suggested. Dr. Nam Ki looked up from his analysis. "Captain, their technology is remarkably uniform across all three species. It appears they've been sharing information for centuries, but none of them have made any real advances in the last 50 years. Stagnation," Li Huan observed. "They've become comfortable with their current level of technology." Ambassador Xin Yu continued her diplomatic work. "Commanders, we have now demonstrated that we possess technological capabilities beyond your current understanding. However, we have not used those capabilities aggressively. We have not attacked your ships despite being surrounded and threatened. What does that tell you about our intentions?" Commander Velthari was the first to understand. "You could have destroyed us at any time. The thought never crossed our minds, Commander. We are here to establish peaceful relations, not to start wars." "But you could if you wanted to," Admiral Crixtall said slowly. "Admiral, we could do many things if we wanted to. The question is, what do we actually want? We want trade. We want cultural exchange. We want cooperation against external threats. We want peace." Fleet Commander Zixtar's mandibles stopped clicking. "External threats. What external threats?" "Commander, your three empires control a small portion of this galaxy. There are forces out there that make your combined fleets look like children's toys. We have been monitoring them as well." The alien commanders felt a chill that had nothing to do with the cold of space. The idea that there were threats beyond their knowledge was terrifying. "What kind of forces?" Commander Velthari asked quietly. "That, Commander, is a conversation for another time. First, we need to establish trust and formal diplomatic relations. Are you willing to stand down your weapons and discuss this peacefully?" The three alien commanders looked at each other across the communication channels. They had come here expecting to capture or destroy a single mysterious ship. Instead, they had discovered an entire civilization that had been watching them for decades. A civilization with technology that made their own fleets obsolete. For 2 hours, the fleets hung in space in an uneasy peace. Representatives from all three alien powers communicated with Ambassador Xin Yu, discussing the possibility of formal diplomatic relations. The conversations were cautious but promising. Then, Admiral Crixtall made a decision that changed everything. The Kethmori commander had been listening to the diplomatic talks with growing frustration. The idea that these unknown humans could dictate terms to the established galactic powers was intolerable. His pride, built on centuries of military victories, could not accept that a single ship might be superior to his entire fleet. "This is ridiculous," he hissed to his bridge crew. "We have 47 warships. They have one. Numbers don't lie." His tactical officer, a younger Kethmori named Vextar, looked uncertain. "Admiral, their scanning capabilities were far beyond ours. Perhaps we should consider—" "Consider what? Bowing down to aliens we know nothing about? The Kethmori Empire was not built by cowardice." Crixtal studied his tactical display. The human ship was massive, but it was still just one vessel. His fleet included some of the most powerful warships in the galaxy. Surely their combined firepower could overwhelm any defensive systems. "Admiral," his communications officer warned, "the Vorthans and Zelani are committed to the diplomatic approach. If we attack, we'll be acting alone." "Then we'll claim the victory alone," Crixtal replied. "Target the human vessel. All ships prepare to fire." Aboard the Soul's Pride, Lieutenant Commander Ojin detected the weapons lock immediately. "Captain, the Kethmori fleet is powering up weapons. They're targeting our ship." Captain Li Huan sighed quietly. He had hoped the diplomatic approach would work. "Alert Ambassador Xin Yu. Notify all stations we're going to combat status." "Sir," Communications Officer Choi Sun reported, "the Vorthan and Zelani commanders are trying to contact Admiral Crixtal. He's not responding." "Can't say we didn't try," Li Huan muttered. "Weapons Officer Limbo, bring all defensive systems online. Lieutenant Park Mina, prepare counterattack plans." Weapons Officer Limbo's hands moved smoothly over his controls. "All defensive screens at maximum power, Captain. Point defense systems ready. Return fire solutions calculated." "Engine status?" Li Huan asked. Chief Engineer Kim Day looked up from his station. "All drives ready, sir. We can go to full combat power whenever you need it." Admiral Crixtal's fleet completed their targeting sequences. 23 Kethmori warships aimed every weapon they had at the Soul's Pride. The Admiral opened one final communication channel. "Human vessel, you have exactly 30 seconds to surrender. After that, we will destroy you." Captain Li Huan activated his own communication system. His voice was calm and sad. "Admiral Crixtal, I am truly sorry it has come to this. We wanted to be friends." 30 seconds, Crixtal repeated. Li Huan closed the channel and turned to his crew. "The Admiral has made his choice. All hands, brace for combat. Wing Commander Hong Min, launch all fighters." Throughout the Soul's Pride, hangar bays opened and disgorged swarms of small, sleek craft. The human fighters were unlike anything the aliens had ever seen. They moved with impossible speed and agility, performing maneuvers that should have crushed their pilots with gravitational force. Admiral Crixtal watched the fighter launch with contempt. "Small craft against warships. They are even more foolish than I thought. All ships, open fire." 23 Kethmori warships unleashed everything they had. Plasma bolts, particle beams, and fusion missiles streamed toward the Soul's Pride. The combined firepower was enough to destroy a small moon. The weapons struck the human ship's defensive screens and simply disappeared. The energy shields around the Soul's Pride absorbed the massive bombardment without even flickering. It was as if the alien weapons were toys firing at a fortress. "Impossible!" Crixtal roared. "Increase power! Fire everything!" The Kethmori fleet fired again and again and again. Their weapons heated to dangerous levels, but they continued pouring energy into their attacks. Nothing happened. The human ship sat there, completely undamaged, as if the most powerful fleet in the sector was throwing pebbles at it. Captain Li Huan watched the display with professional interest. "Their weapons are actually quite impressive for their technology. Level," he observed, "but they're still using principles we abandoned decades ago." "Should we return fire, Captain?" Weapons Officer Limbo asked. "Not yet. Let them exhaust themselves first. The human fighters, meanwhile, were demonstrating capabilities that defied everything the aliens thought they knew about combat. The small craft moved through space like living things, dodging every shot fired at them while returning fire with pinpoint accuracy. Wing Commander Hong Min led his squadrons in a series of attacks that systematically disabled the Kethmori fleet's weapon systems. The human fighters didn't try to destroy the alien ships. Instead, they surgically removed their ability to fight. Admiral Krixtal watched in horror as his mighty fleet was systematically neutralized by craft no larger than shuttles. "How are they doing this?" he demanded. His tactical officer studied the sensor readings with disbelief. "Admiral, their fighters are pulling maneuvers that should kill their pilots. 20G turns, instant acceleration changes, impossible flight. Patterns. It's like they're not affected by physics." "Everyone is affected by physics," Krixtal snarled. "Not them, sir, and their weapons. They're cutting through our armor like it's made of paper." In 10 minutes, the entire Kethmori fleet was crippled. Their weapons were gone, their engines damaged, their shields failing. The human fighters had done it all without losing a single. Craft Commander Velthari and Fleet Commander Zixtar watched the battle in stunned silence. Their most powerful ally had been defeated by a force they couldn't even understand. "Should we assist?" Zixtar asked quietly. "With what?" Velthari replied. "If they can do that to the Kethmori, what chance do we have?" Captain Li Huan finally decided it was time to end this. "Weapons Officer Limbo, target the Kethmori flagship. Minimum power, disable only." "Yes, sir." The Soul's Pride fired a single beam of coherent energy. The beam struck Admiral Krixtal's ship and passed completely through it, leaving a perfectly round hole from bow to stern. Somehow, the ship remained intact, but every system aboard it shut down instantly. What did they do to us?" Krixtal whispered. His tactical officer checked his instruments with shaking hands. "Admiral, our entire electrical system has been neutralized. Every circuit, every computer, every piece of electronic equipment. But the hull is undamaged. They could have destroyed us, but they chose not to." The implications hit Krixtal like a physical blow. The humans had demonstrated that they could destroy his entire fleet in minutes, but they had chosen mercy instead. They had proven their superiority beyond any doubt, then offered his crews a chance to live. Captain Li Huan opened a communication channel to the entire alien fleet. "This is Captain Li Huan. The attack on our vessel has been repelled. We are prepared to render assistance to damaged ships and injured personnel." Medical Officer Kang Hai was already organizing rescue teams. "Captain, I have medical shuttles ready to launch. We can treat both human and alien casualties." "Deploy them, Doctor. Make sure the alien crews understand we're here to help, not harm." Throughout the crippled Kethmori fleet, human medical teams arrived to offer aid. The alien crews watched in amazement as their former enemies worked to save lives and repair damage. This was not the behavior they expected from victorious warriors. Admiral Krixtal found himself aboard a human medical shuttle, being treated for injuries he had sustained when his ship's systems failed. The human medic, a young woman who spoke perfect Kethmori, worked with gentle efficiency. "Why are you helping me?" he asked quietly. "Because you're hurt," she replied simply. "That's what we do." "I tried to kill you. I know. But you failed, and now you need help." "So we help." Krixtal stared at this human who treated him with kindness despite his aggression. Everything he thought he knew about warfare and victory was crumbling around him. Commander Velthari activated his communication system. "Captain Li Huan, we have witnessed your capabilities. The Vorthon Empire formally requests diplomatic status with your republic." Fleet Commander Zixtar quickly followed. "The Zilani Federation also requests formal diplomatic relations." Captain Li Huan nodded with satisfaction. "We accept both requests. Ambassador Xin Yu will coordinate the establishment of proper diplomatic channels. In the distance, space began to shimmer and twist. New energy signatures appeared on every sensor. Screen in the fleet. More ships were arriving, but these weren't alien vessels. They were human ships, dozens of them. Admiral Seo Jun's voice came across the communication channels. "This is Admiral Seo Jun of the Terran Defense Force. Captain Li Huan, do you require assistance?" "The situation is under control, Admiral. We have successfully established first contact with 3 major galactic powers." "Excellent. The rest of the fleet will maintain position pending further diplomatic developments." The alien commanders stared at their screens in shock. The humans hadn't sent one ship into their territory. They had sent an entire fleet, and kept most of it hidden until the fighting was over. The balance of power in the galaxy had just shifted forever. 6 months after the first contact incident, the galaxy was a very different place. The massive space station floating in neutral space had become the center of a new kind of politics. Representatives from dozens of species came here to meet with human diplomats and negotiate new treaties. President An Na stood in the observation deck of the station, looking out at the ships from across the galaxy. Vorthon cruisers hung next to human destroyers. Zilani fighters practiced maneuvers with Terran squadrons. Even some of the Kethmori ships, rebuilt with human assistance, patrolled the area as part of the Joint Security Force. "The transformation has been remarkable," said Admiral Seo Jun, joining the president at the window. 6 months ago, these species were ready to fight each other over territory. Now they're working together. President An Na nodded. "Fear is a powerful motivator, Admiral. But it's temporary. We need to give them something better to build on." The trade agreements are working well. The technology sharing program has already improved their defensive capabilities by 30%. And the external threat? Admiral Seo Jun's expression grew serious. "Our deep space monitors have detected 3 more probe incursions in the outer rim. The Devourers are definitely getting closer." President An Na felt a familiar chill. The Devourers were the reason humanity had emerged from hiding, the species that consumed entire star systems, turning everything into raw material for their hive fleets. Humanity had been preparing for their arrival for decades. "How long do we have?" General Park. "In estimates 18 months before their main force reaches this region. Maybe 2 years if we're lucky. Then we need to move faster." Dr. Bei Wan, the chief xenobiologist, approached them with a data pad. "President, the integration program is ahead of schedule. We now have joint crews operating on 47 vessels. The aliens are adapting to our technology much faster than expected." "Any problems?" "Minor ones, some cultural conflicts, a few equipment compatibility issues. But overall, the species are working well together. The Vorthans are particularly good at tactical planning. The Zilani have excellent reflexes for fighter operations. The Kethmori are natural engineers." President An Na smiled. "And humans?" "We're good at bringing everyone together," Dr. Bei Wan replied. In another part of the station, Captain Li Huan was meeting with his former adversaries. Admiral Krikstal sat across from him, no longer the proud warrior who had attacked the Soul's pride. The months of working with humans had changed him. "Captain," Krikstal said, "my engineers have finished studying the defensive improvements you suggested. Our fleet's survival rate in combat simulations has improved by 200%. "Good," Li Huan replied. "You'll need every advantage when the Devourers arrive." Commander Velthari leaned forward. "Captain, are you certain about the timeline? 18 months seems impossible to prepare for such a massive threat." "We've been preparing for 50 years, Commander. You've had 6 months. But you're learning fast." Fleet Commander Zixtar's mandibles clicked thoughtfully. "The joint training exercises have been educational. Our species have very different approaches to warfare." "That's an advantage," Li Huan explained. "The Devourers have encountered thousands of species, but they've never faced a truly integrated defense. They expect predictable tactics from individual Civilizations, General Park. In entered the meeting room carrying a holographic projector. Gentlemen, I have the latest intelligence on Devourer fleet movements. The projector showed a three-dimensional map of the galaxy. Red indicators marked the locations of Devourer forces, slowly moving inward from the rim. There were thousands of them. "By the ancient gods," whispered Commander Velthari. "There are so many." "This is why we needed to unite the galactic powers," General Parkin explained. "No single species could face this threat alone, but together we have a chance." Admiral Krixtal studied the display. "What kind of chance?" "A good one, if we work together. The Devourers are powerful, but they have weaknesses. They rely on overwhelming numbers and brute force. They don't adapt well to new tactics." "And we have new tactics?" Fleet Commander Zixtar asked. General Parkin smiled. "We have human tactics, enhanced by alien capabilities. We have Vorthan strategic planning, Zilani speed and agility, Keth Mori engineering skills, and human technology. The Devourers have never faced anything like it." Captain Li Huan activated another part of the display, showing ship designs. "This is what we're building together. Hybrid vessels that combine the best of all our technologies." The designs were beautiful and deadly. Ships that looked like works of art but carried devastating weapons. Vessels that could move like Zilani fighters but hit like human battleships. "When will they be ready?" Commander Velthari asked. "The first squadron launches next month," Li Huan replied. "Admiral, you'll be commanding it." Velthari looked surprised. "Me? But surely a human commander would be more appropriate." "Commander, you've proven yourself capable of adapting to new situations. You were the first to propose diplomatic solutions during our initial contact. You have the respect of all three alien fleets. You're the perfect choice." Admiral Krixtal nodded agreement. "The commander speaks truth. You have shown wisdom in dealing with our new human allies." "But I know nothing about commanding human vessels," Velthari protested. "You won't be commanding human vessels," General Parkin explained. "You'll be commanding integrated vessels with mixed crews. The tactics will be a combination of everything all our species have learned." Dr. Wan entered the meeting with exciting news. "Gentlemen, I have an update from the research division. We've successfully created a unified communication system that works across all species. No more translator delays in combat situations." This was a breakthrough. In space combat, every second mattered. The ability to communicate instantly across species lines would give them a huge advantage. "There's more," Dr. Wan continued. "We've also developed new shield harmonics based on Vorthan technology, weapons targeting systems using Zilani reflexes, and engine designs incorporating Kethmori engineering principles." Captain Li Huan felt a surge of pride. This was what humanity did best, bringing different groups together and making them stronger than the sum of their parts. "Captain," Admiral Krixtal said quietly, "I must ask you something." "Of course." 6 months ago, when I attacked your ship, you could have destroyed my entire fleet in minutes. Why didn't you?" Li Huan considered the question. "Because dead enemies can't become allies, Admiral. We knew we would need every ship, every person, every species working together to face what's coming. Destroying you would have made us weaker, not stronger. But I was trying to kill you. You were acting according to your understanding at the time. Once you learned more about the situation, you changed your approach. That's what intelligent beings do." Commander Velthari looked out at the mixed fleet patrolling the station. "Captain, do you really think we can win against the Devourers?" "Commander, I think we can do something better than win. I think we can build something that will last long after the Devourers are gone." "What do you mean?" Li Huan stood and walked to the window. Outside, ships from dozens of species worked together in perfect coordination. Human engineers helped repair Zilani fighters. Vorthan tacticians planned strategies with Kethmori commanders. Alien and human crews shared meals and stories and dreams. I mean, we can build a galaxy where species work together instead of fighting each other, where technology is shared instead of hoarded, where the strong protect the weak instead of exploiting them. Fleet Commander Zixtar's mandibles clicked in what humans had learned was the Zelani equivalent of laughter. An idealistic dream, Captain. All the best dreams are idealistic, Commander. But this one is becoming real. President On Naz. Voice came over the station's communication system. All personnel, this is the President. Long-range sensors have detected the first Devourer scout fleets entering the outer systems. The time for preparation is ending. The time for action has begun. Throughout the station, beings from across the galaxy moved to their positions. Human and alien crews boarded their ships. The combined fleet began forming up in battle formations that no single species could have imagined. Captain Li Huan looked at his former enemies, now his closest allies. Gentlemen, shall we go save the galaxy? Admiral Krixtal stood first, his scaled hide showing the blue patterns that indicated determination. For the first time in my life, Captain, I am proud to follow a human into battle. Commander Velthari and Fleet Commander Zixtar rose as well. The four beings who had met as enemies now stood as partners in the greatest challenge any of them had ever faced. Outside the station, the Soul's Pride waited alongside hundreds of other vessels, human ships, alien ships, and the new hybrid, vessels that represented the best of all their combined technologies. As they walked toward the hangar bays, Captain Li Huan thought about the journey that had brought them here. 6 months ago, humanity had been hidden and alone. Now they were part of something magnificent, a true galactic civilization built on cooperation instead of conquest. The Devourers were coming, but they would find a galaxy ready for them, a galaxy united, a galaxy that would fight not just for survival, but for the future of all intelligent life.